Imagine you have played a sport for years, decades, and get to represent your country at the world's biggest stage. Each game is a moment of pride and glory, and this feeling gives you the adrenaline to perform even better, to deliver a world-class performance that sporting fans would remember for years. But let's also imagine that your country has corrupt leaders. You know they have committed crimes, get away with divisiveness, lies, and murder. The greater your performance, it only serves to spread the propaganda for the politicians of your country. Your leaders want you to win at all costs. What would you do? Would you play with the same passion to win under this political clout? Or deep down, would you rebel or be scared that would stop you from doing your job? This is the story of the last international sporting event that took place under a military dictatorship, the controversies and how it was remembered in the years to follow. Argentina is a football-crazy nation. Despite hosting and winning the Copa America in 1921, they lost the finals of the 1928 Olympics and the inaugural 1930 World Cup to neighboring Uruguay. That was further aggravated when Argentina boycotted 3 World Cups between 1938 and 1954 due to rift with the European and Brazilian Football Confederation. For the 1962 World Cup, with a surprise turn of events, Chile was able to win the vote to host ahead of Argentina. In that same edition, Argentina was also the first team ever to exit the World Cup on account of goal difference, with England progressing despite both having won and drawn 1 game each. The biggest prize remained elusive. But in 1966, the World Cup was finally calling. Before the start of the 1966 World Cup in England, the hosts for the 1974 to 1982 World Cups were finalized, and Argentina was selected as the 1978 host. Meanwhile, Argentina had relative political stability between 1946 and 1955, with Juan Peron as the president. While a controversial figure because he allowed Nazis to settle down in Argentina, he was overall loved by the people as a supporter of unions. Coining a verb to describe one's ideology speaks volumes. He nationalized the central bank and railways. To boost the economy, Peron also allowed foreign investments. Fiat, Kaiser Motors, and Daimler-Benz announced facilities in Cordoba. Peron also struck a deal with Standard Oil of California, that's today known differently, though these began to be viewed by the opposition and public as anti-Argentinian. However, his biggest political and personal loss was when he lost his wife Eva Peron. Eva Peron was extremely popular among the Argentinian crowd. Just to illustrate, let me play you a song.
I never expected it to. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you.
This song has been sung by numerous artists around the world: Madonna, Karen Carpenter, Nicole Scherzinger, to name a few. The original was composed by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice for the musical Evita while researching the life of, you guessed it, Eva Peron. Eva's popularity was a big reason for Peron to get the women votes. But with her death in 1952, within a year, Peron was associated with a relationship with a teenage girl, Nelly Rivas. Peron never denied the rumors, and when pressed by the reporters on whether Nelly was 13 years old, Peron, who was then 59, responded that he was not superstitious. He also lost significant support from the Catholic Church when he planned to legalize divorce and prostitution. All this downturn for Peron resulted in a coup d'etat, and Peron was in exile from 1955 until his return. In the 1973 Argentine general elections, Peron returned for a third term. If you thought this is where the story ends for our prodigal son, you are kind of right. Within a year, his health dwindled, and Juan Peron died in July 1974. His third wife at that time, Isabel Peron, who was the vice president, took over. There was a power vacuum, and you don't need a crystal ball to predict what happened next. In 1975, President Isabel Peron, under pressure from the military, appointed Jorge Rafael Videla, Commander-in-Chief of the Argentine Army, who then organized a coup d'etat and overthrew Isabel Peron on the 24th of March 1976. In her place, a military junta headed by General Jorge Rafael Videla, Admiral Emilio Eduardo Macera, and General Orlando Agosti was set up, referred to as the National Reorganization Process. The junta closed the National Congress, imposed censorship, banned trade unions, and brought state and municipal government under military control. Videla initiated a campaign dubbed as the Dirty War against suspected dissidents believed to be communists. The crackdown was on anyone even remotely connected with Peronism: writers, journalists, artists, students, and trade union members. Across the country, the regime set up hundreds of detention camps where thousands of people were jailed and persecuted. Estimates put these numbers at 12,000 prisoners and 340 secret camps. One such detention camp was Escuela Superior de Mecánica de la Armada, or the Higher School of Mechanics of the Navy, referred to as ESMA. The ESMA was a mile away from the venue of the 1978 World Cup Games, including the final, Estadio Monumental. The detainees could hear the roars of the crowd during the 1978 matches. Initially, the junta faced little public opposition, maintaining this was a civil war against leftist guerrillas, but this began to change right around 1977 with growing evidence of civil rights violations. As more people protested, more were taken to detention camps. Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, an association of women who lost their children and grandchildren, began calling for international attention for the disappeared persons through weekly prayers at the iconic Plaza de Mayo, fronting the presidential palace. Desperate to prove the country was stable, the 1978 World Cup became the prime focus to promote nationalism that they hoped would change public opinion and ensure they would retain power. In the part 2 of this series, we will see how the junta used the World Cup as a propaganda tool and meddle beyond what was necessary. If you like this video, please help support by subscribing, liking and sharing. It will greatly help this small channel and encourage me to make more videos such as this one. Thank you.